Okay, here's my screen. Okay. That's not too bad. Alright, just wanted to get everything set up. Alright, the unranked to challenger should be pretty saturated now. Actually, let me check it real quick. I just want to make sure that the playlist is like functioning correctly. Sorry. Okay, let's refresh this playlist. Okay, it looks way better now. Alright, I fixed it. I think. Hopefully. I mean, I'm like kind of retarded, so it wouldn't surprise me if I fucked up something again. Okay, yeah, looks all good. Alright, let's jump in to this lesson. Unranked, silver, and gold. Okay. Alright, let's jump into this. So, we're shooting Qs, standing in the brush, using our auto attacks. All actually really good starts to everything. The wave crashes. Okay. So in this situation, alright, pretty much once you pretty much want to play man-to-man on the AD carry in every laning phase scenario. So what you should be doing in this situation, the support is standing here, right? You should be pushing forward and up and around. The reason for that is you want to play in front of and against the enemy AD carry. So you want to be shooting Qs at him the whole time. Because Soraka is the kind of champion that's pretty momentum-based. You need to be like getting harassed down like the whole time. And this is very silly. So like in this situation, right, since you don't ward across, you just want to be playing man-to-man. So walk up here and start shooting Qs at the AD carry. That way you can pressure the AD carry off of last hits. And so if you hit a Q, then you can walk forward and hit him a bunch. You don't really care about pressuring the support in most of the early stages of the laning phase, unless it's just free Qs, basically. Alright, so you're winning the lane and you're getting the push, so you ended up going silence level 2. I like this. I like this a lot. You do play a bit too defensively, though, especially since you're hitting your Qs. You should be walking up constantly and forcing auto attacks. Anytime that you're hitting these Qs, you should be pressuring, or at least standing in the minions. Remember, the minions block all skill shots such as hooks, so if you just stand in the minions and make sure you're shifting yourself around, you can reach them. You can keep them in arm's reach, right? Like you can auto attack them while also hitting Qs. Also, another technique that I recommend doing against champions like Vayne is, I mean, I guess if you shoot multiple Qs in a row, it's totally fine, but you can also just walk up and silence and then shoot Q, or walk up and auto attack, which then causes the Vayne to use auto attack tumble, then you can shoot the Q, so it's a lot easier to hit them with skill shots. So remember, always want to stand in the minions, that way you can continue to create pressure, while also not being in worry of getting killed. This is why in higher level games, getting the push is so advantageous, because you can just sit in the minions and harass people, and if they overreach like this, then a lot of your minions will just start turning and auto-attacking them. Alright, so let's talk about the next part, right? You start to initiate a trade. You miss the Q, that's okay. Your AD carry flashes in, right? This is really good by you, okay? This is really good by you to walk past and hit the enemy AD carry. I like that a lot. But at this point in time, since you aren't running heal barrier, I recommend just using exhaust on the thresh to make sure that he doesn't kill your AD carry. It might not save your AD carry, but it's better to just use it that way. That way there's a good chance that he survives. Also, really good indicator of when a lane is freezing towards you and when it's not. Just count the ranged, alright? So there's 4 ranged here, there's 3 ranged here, it's going to push to you. You don't need to touch this wave, you should just step back and channel back. Because all of this, all of these shenanigans, it's not worth it at all. You should just spend the gold that you've made in your lane and just get out. Because now what's going to happen, right? You haven't channeled back this entire time, right? You haven't channeled back this entire time, like, and you haven't spent your gold, basically. And now what's going to happen is like this, okay? Because you don't channel back when the wave is pooling very slowly, what's going to end up happening is you're going to probably channel back in like the next 5 seconds or something like that, or you're just useless in lane. And then what'll happen is this wave will push all the way in and crash on the turret, and you won't be able to contest it. Like, you see how, because you don't go back and spend, you can't contest this anymore. Like, you can't fight this 2v2. So, like, when the wave is, like, slowly pulling back, unless, like, you're staying for an item or something, you should just leave. Like, the Thresh in this case, he can't impact the wave. If there's, like, a champion that can push really hard, then it makes sense to do that, but Thresh isn't going to do anything, right? Like, he's not going to do it. Like, this is pretty much just lucky. I would definitely describe it as, like, people just kind of suicided, so it made it feel like what you did was okay. Even though it really wasn't. Because, you know, minute and a half still in it, right? Minute and a half still in this game, like, you haven't gotten it back, you haven't gotten to spend your gold, and you're useless in lane pretty much because you can't contest anything. So eventually you get to the point, because the Thresh has killed himself, that he backs. Okay, so let's talk about waves again, right? Need to get this all the way into the turret. You always want to use your wave as an indicator where the other wave is. It's the best reference point, always reliable. So in this situation, you should be walking over here, cue the back line, and just start auto-attacking and helping him push it all the way to the turret until he has it situated. In this situation, you could run into bad habits where this Thresh walks up and freezes the wave, and then you just miss a bunch of experience for yourself too. Like, you'll miss a bunch of experience for you. Alright, so you buy full lucidity boots, spell thieves, and some potions. I recommend in this situation, I think I tackled this a couple of times, don't buy potions. You should just buy a refillable potion and call it good. You'll be using this pretty much the entire time, especially with a champion like Soraka who uses health as a primary resource in team fights to heal people up. I really don't want you to be buying potions. If you have to get rid of the fairy charm because you can't buy it at the start, that's totally fine. But make sure that you're buying a refillable potion. Also, I don't even know how you're skilling right now. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do this. Requiem 0. I don't know if I can spell your name because it's so hard to read. Hold on a second. Okay, so I'm going to assume this is the game. Oh, you're playing with an Ezreal. Okay, so let's look at your skill build real quick. Okay, so you go Q, W, E, Q, Q. I recommend in most cases nowadays, this is a pretty outdated skill build. You should only put 2 points in Q. The reason for that is unless you're absolutely destroying your lane, which you're actually not, you want to have W. See right here, you want W max as soon as possible, which is level 9. So you only put 2 points in Q. That way you still have lane pressure, but then you still max your W at that point in time. Yeah, I'm going to be skipping through like a lot of stuff because it seems like pretty lengthy. And I think there's going to be some silly stuff that goes on. And I tackled most of the laning phase stuff that I want you to be working on, which is standing in the minion waves and making sure you're shooting your Qs. And then also think of the basketball term, playing man-to-man defense. If you know your goal isn't to pressure the support, it's to pressure the AD carry, switch positions whenever the support is challenging you for locations. But at this point in time, you know, reiterating, like, you always want to stand in minions. That way you can shoot skills. Awesome. You end up getting that kill. Use exhaust immediately. That's good. You also split away from your AD carry. That's also good. That way you're not stacked on top of each other. And if he chases one person, he's not DPSing the other one. I also give away a lesson every week for Subscriber Monday, except for this one because I'm a degenerate. Alright, so let's talk about your silence, okay? Pretty much at any point in time, you don't want to be using your silence till she's completely committed to a fight. Because of that, like against the Katarina, she's going to bounce around a lot. It's going to actually be really hard for you to hit her with your skills. You should just use your silence when she starts channeling her ultimate, because that's the most likely part where you can get her in the center and get the root off too. Plus, that's the primary source of her damage, and you're not going to instantly kill her in that situation. Yeah, I don't think that Relic is very good. So yeah. Okay, we're using the bonus movement speed. Nobody's died yet. This is super good. I mean, you're not dying at all. Playing reasonably defensive. Just constantly using your heals to keep your teammates topped off. Once again, be a little bit more conservative. See if you see how your silences are just useless. This is a really long cooldown, and it's actually a lot of the primary value of Soraka. So don't use your silences until someone's fully committed in this situation. So you want to wait till the Katarina's jumped in and is in a good spot for you to set up a silence, rather than just trying to randomly silence for a little bit of damage and harass. Because this ends up happening, right? Now you have no silence. Well, guess what? Katarina can jump on your teammate now and use a bunch of spells. But if you save your silence, for when she comes in, she dies there, and you don't even have to use anything. Yeah, you really have to be quite conservative with your silences, for sure. But when you start getting a better habit of it, then you'll get a lot heavier dividends with the skill. Alright, so at this point in time, you're diving the turret. Let's look at this, right? So you're just hitting the turret, you're completely you're diving, you're just auto-attacking. This is good. At this point in time, I mean, you can see that this person's in the brush, right? You shouldn't even be walking this close to get hooked, because this puts you in a difficult position where now you're missing a bunch of HP, and now you're behind a turret right now. Fortunately, your AD carry kills him, which actually gives you a hole to get out. And then you walk all the way around because you're trying to help Diana. Okay, makes sense. All right. So this needs to stop happening. You do this too much. Already in this video, you do this too much. Soraka needs health to heal other people. So unless someone's really, really close, please just channel back as fast as you possibly can. It's important that you get your resets ASAP so that you can be on the map and doing stuff again. Is this 207? No, it's 260. Right? Like, that's so weird. Yeah, whatever. There's not really too much that I can do about that, though. Sorry about that. Alright, so we're back in lane. I'm mostly just looking for the action at this point in time. So, Thresh throws out his hook. Sorry, I've been sneezing a lot. So let's remember, exhaust is the first spell you use, not your last spell. So your teammate, he's being retarded, right? Like he's obviously like suiciding. So I like the silence on the Thresh, but it's too far away at this point in time. The first thing you should be doing is walking over and exhausting this AD carry and stopping it from doing damage. Man, I cannot stop sneezing. Sorry about that. See, your exhaust is 100% up. So the first thing, remember, when an all-in starts to occur, just use your exhaust immediately. And it's really easy to gauge in most situations, because if your AD carry gets hooked in this situation or condemned, that means a all-in's probably going to happen. So just make sure you make a good habit of exhausting earlier, because you actually could have saved him from just using your exhaust substantially earlier. Also, so you don't waste your flashes, it's important to identify what you need to flash in this situation, okay? So, 2 people are chasing you. What do you need to flash? You need to flash a hook that could potentially come out, and then if he gets in range, flay. Those are the only 2 ways you get killed. But how do you survive? Well, you just hit a Q on them, and then they're slowed, and then you need to walk away. Because you don't need to flash her at all. You could just shoot a Q, and you're done. And if he starts winding up a hook, then you can use your flash to dodge it. But always ask yourself the question, like, once a bad situation's like happening, you don't really have any other things to think about, what do I need to flash in this situation? Yeah, but if you hit the Q, you just get away from that for free, like, pretty easily. Alright, so let's talk about vision. I feel like I do the vision thing every game. So let's talk about vision. I'm going to make this one a lot quicker and faster and more concise. You're the support, right? You have a sight stone. So, if you need to, because there's a big wave here, right? You came down here and you clean this up. You push it out, you run up the river. These are the locations of wards that you'll place. So, this is the ward. Definitely want this every time. Lets you see where the jungler is, sees these multiple camps, covers this whole scenario right here. And then ideally you want this ward right here. If you can't get this ward, okay, then you either want to get this ward, or if the dragon's of high priority, then you can get this ward right here. In this game, I believe you do not have a dragon. Okay, you don't have a dragon. So you get a ward down in those 2 locations. Then the third one is kind of up to you, wherever you want it. Sometimes if you're pushing into the turret, right, and you feel comfortable, you can walk over and get a ward and try. That way when you're sieging, you know where the jungler is. If not, you can just like hold on to your ward. Like, you don't always have to have all 3 wards down, but it's important that your wards cover all the locations that matter, right? So remember these warding spots. That way you'll cover both yourself and your mid laner. It'll be really helpful, especially because mid lane, or wards in general, are scarce nowadays, right? Because there's no green trinket or anything like that. Yeah, so that's like the quick thing for warding. Alright, so at this point in time, you're just kind of chilling in lane. You have pressure points in other spots, so you're not playing too aggressive. I like that. I feel like this game turns into shit show really fast, though, because I saw this end score, and that's a little bit horrifying. Alright, same thing, right? Ward spots on the other side. Sure, I'll show you the ward spots on the other side. So, once again, you're the support, right? Usually, ideally, you want to go through mid and get wards down. And then you usually ward here. Right? You want this ramp ward down. And then usually the next 2 wards are here and here. The reason for that is because you run into a lot of issues right here. Where you run into a pink ward here in the tri-bush, right? So in most situations, if you feel like you don't want to deal with a bunch of pink ward fighting, then you walk over and you ward these 2 locations. This covers both the corridors for the tri-bush, and then you usually want a ward right here. That way you can see if a person's walking down. And then you want your pink ward right here. The reason for that is so that you have a green ward out here so you can see if anyone's walking down to contest this vision. Plus, by having this pink ward, you'll get notification on whether or not the mid laner's moving. And these 2 wards right here will dodge the pink ward. Sorry, I only touched on it shortly. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Really sniffly. Okay, So, against champions that have really spammable dodges, so like Vayne in this regard, right? Don't shoot your skill shots until they've used their dodgeable, spammable skill. So in this situation, right, the Vayne walks forward and use your Q in silence. Wait for him to tumble before you use it. That way you can guarantee that he doesn't have an easy way to dodge it. Okay, so the next part, right? And this is an important part of why it's bad to just waste your flash, because now you have no flash, right? Like, you have no way to basically dodge this. Another thing too, honestly, as a habit, a frame of mind, you shouldn't even be sitting in this bush at all, because when you're against a Vayne, you risk the ability for them to tumble over. So in case you don't know, when you auto attack out of this bush, it reveals you. Like, even though there's no ward here, because you auto attack out of this bush, they know exactly where you're standing now. So make sure that you're mindful of that when like you're next to these kinds of locations. All right, so next is like the all-in scenario, right? So you get hooked. That's shitty. It doesn't seem like you have exhaust. Okay. So then you get condemned into a wall because of positioning. At this point in time, don't run through these extra gates and take a bunch of extra damage. You want to be absorbing as much as possible. But a lot of that culminates into the fact that don't shoot skill shots when someone has a dodgeable, spammable skill, right? So like Tumble is a really good example. Don't stand in brushes next to brushes in Vayne. And also make sure that you're not wasting your flashes when you do get all in. And then just, reference point. Like, look how dark your map is. Ideally, you always want to walk through mid, but sometimes you have to go bottom and catch a wave, and that's totally fine. But then, like, once you get the push out, you need to go up the river and at least get reasonable vision down. Also, don't make a habit of just sitting around in these locations. Always remember the lesson beforehand, waves before wards. So you should just be going over to mid, helping your teammates push out mid. Then someone has to show in mid lane, right? And then you can dump your wards. So I'll do another. Wow, you're getting spoiled right now because I'm doing a lot of ward stuff for you. So once you get into this middle of the map kind of position, make a better habit of... Oh, this is the wrong color. Make a better habit of going mid first, and then basically you usually choose a side. So in most cases when I'm on blue side, I have a tendency to choose the bot lane as my strong side because I care more about the dragon than Rift Herald, as that's more of a commonly contested objective. So what I'll usually end up doing is something like this. I'll walk over, I'll put a green here. I'll try to have some kind of ward on the left-hand side so we don't get collapsed from a bunch of spots. And then I usually invest my pink ward into line brush. And then if I really need to, I'll walk all the way over here. And then I'll still usually put a ward here. Or if I feel like I can't go that deep, then I'll go this location, making sure that I have kind of like a triangle of 3 wards, and then a pink that's a little bit behind everything but covers a lot of vision. That way I can see when people are contesting, and I know how far I can push up. Another ward you can also do instead of this, if I don't need to protect bottom and I care more about mid priority, is I usually put a ward around here. That way I can have vision of how many people are grouped middle when I'm pushing. And you can always just use the YouTube for reference point for it, because it'll go up on YouTube. Alright, so let's talk about silence and the strength that it has. Right? So the team fight breaks out. I don't want to tackle all of this at once. So the team fight breaks out, right? Echo wants to ulti away, right? Like, he wants to do as much damage as possible and ulti away. So, when he starts collapsing on your AD carry and kiting in, you should just immediately drop a silence on him. That way he can't ulti away from that. Also, side note, whenever you see a fight already engaging, your first button in almost every team fight should be your redemption. So damage starts coming in, you should already have a redemption sitting right here. And basically the way you're gonna keep people alive in team fights is as follows. And this is how I always it's just a formula, okay? So redemption's always your first button, right? Then you start healing people if they're in range. But if there's an important engage, you always silence first. Silencing first is important, unless like your teammate is going to immediately die. Then after you put your heal on cooldown, if you need to, you should ulti afterwards. And your ulti should be there to like prop someone up from 40% to make sure they don't die while the redemption is going off. Then you just start pouring heals into them, because by then like the engage should have already been absorbed and you just need to keep flows of HP into them. Because already this is really bad. Because like you should have had a redemption sitting down for you the whole time. Because this is just too late. Like this is so risky. And that way you also probably wouldn't have had to commit a bunch of summoners, because you would have just been able to walk over the redemption and let a bunch of people DPS into you, and you probably could have absorbed a bunch of the pressure in the team fight. So like those kinds of silences are fine, because like basically what you're doing is you're stopping the Vayne from tumbling away and takes a bunch of extra damage. Alright, so at this point in time, you're kind of grouping. The enemy player jumps in randomly. You silence him. Excellent. Alright, we waste our exhaust. So, right, the fight happens, you Q. You should be using your bonus movement speed to just kite not into this. So just like kite into that. Like, once you cast the heal, you shouldn't need to exhaust him at all. That's kind of a waste of a summoner. Alright, so at this point in time... This is why I love Ocean Dragon, by the way. It's just so broken on the champion. Alright, so I'm just scrolling through anything that's not, like, scenarios that are, like, team fights. Because I feel like the rest of the game is a lot of team fighting. Alright, so it looks like your redemption is still on cooldown when this happens. Alright. And your ulti's on cooldown. Okay. So, yeah, once again, remember, don't be wasteful with your silence. Silencing someone for damage. It's a really long cooldown. It's why I hammer on you so hard with it. It's really important that your silences are not wasteful. A great example of this is, I mean, you have awesome comboing champions. So, like, you have a Vigar stun and Warwick either Fear or the ultimate. And both of those are really, really helpful for you to combo with. Thank you for the host, Fable. Because not having a silence here, imagine a world where you have a silence for this guy. This guy just dies instantly. He doesn't get away, and we don't waste anything. You guarantee this kill instantly. That guy doesn't participate in the fight, and they probably don't even have enough damage to kill your teammate, because you probably are able to heal him a couple more cycles. Alright, so I like that you're playing pretty far back, though. This is definitely what I want you to be doing. I don't want you to be in harm's way, because you should just be there for when the engage happens, not be there to eat the engage. Alright, so he comes in. Super good silence. That actually pretty much stopped him from casting his ultimate. But position is important, right? So in these situations, you have vision on this side of the map. You should just be sitting on this location right here. That way he can't get on you at all. Because, I mean, that was a good silence. Just, you don't want to be this far up at all. And this is what the importance of like having wards on both the sides, like I showed you on the Rift Kit, is, so that you can have a lot of forewarning on where people are coming from each of the sides. Yeah, I suspect that most of this game now is just lots of team fighting. Okay, so let's talk about warding again, right? Because this is an important one. How do I reset everything? Okay, so pretty much once you get to the mid game, the most important ward in the entire game is the mid lane ward. No matter what objective is up, no matter what's going on the map, no matter where you are, you must always have a mid lane ward. And the reason for that is mid lane is the center of the map. And you always want to have it pushed out, and you always want to know how many people are there to contest you pushing it out. So no matter Baron or anything, like once turrets start falling, especially once the mid lane turret dies in this case, right? You want to have a ward down mid. And usually, ideally, you actually want it like around here. And the reason for that is if you have it around here and then you pink this location, then you can see people walking up and down and potentially pick them over the wall. But no matter what, you should always have a ward down mid lane. Also, let's make this a habit, right? You're walking through the jungle, right? You should definitely be warding these locations right here, because you're already walking there, right? Like, and you want to have outer vision, plus then it'll prep you for Baron. Alright, so we reset again. I'm going to assume you are waiting on a Mikhail's. Okay, so you eventually do buy the refillable, which is good. I just don't think you should buy it that late. Damn, you waited a hell of a long time to buy that Mikhail's. Alright, so we're walking up top. Your teammate pranks you and disappears. Later, bro. Alright, so at that point in time, you need to get the hell out of Dodge. You have a bunch of people rotating over you. That's a damn shame. So let's just talk about like not overreaching stuff, right? Oh, your mom asked you for a water bottle? Okay, whatever. Doesn't really matter, right? So what matters is paying attention to your waves, okay? You walk top. Alright, you've walked all the way to top. These people you see in mid lane. That means that they can easily rotate up into your jungle. So in that case, right, because they can rotate up into your jungle, you've seen them there, right? This is fine. This is a redemption is fine. The silence is fine, but please stop running after that, because you know that those players have gone missing from the mid lane wave that you saw, which is also why having push in mid lane is the most important thing, because then you stop people from doing this, and you also can do it to them themselves. Yeah, because like at this point in time, you're toast, right? 2 of you are dead around Baron. Alright, so at this point in time, you should be buying pinks for Baron control. No, don't buy that. Buy pinks for Baron control. The only time I don't have pinks in my inventory, and I exclaim this, is when I don't have an neutral objective to contest. But I mean, you're 25 minutes in, Baron's up. Please don't make a habit of not buying pinks. Alright, so same thing, right? This is why mid lane is so important. Because if you try to contest this, and don't feel bad about this, because I have challenger players who can't grasp this. So, in this situation, right, this is just not safe, and the reason for that is you have mid lane push. They can just all walk up to you all the time, and your teammates, they have to go the long way around because they're dealing with waves, right? And it's all on vision too, because you know minions reveal you. That's like a concept a lot of people don't really grasp. Minions reveal you, like they show where you are and where you aren't. And so that's why it's important to push that out, because now you've just kind of lost your flash for free. If you're really concerned about doing Baron, just walk over to this wall and ward over the wall. Yeah, I mean that's why you see me sit in mid so much. That's honestly why I'm in mid so frequently, is because of that. Alright, so I gotta just He just kills himself. Alright, that's cool. Should probably do Baron now. That's their jungler. And this is where you would spam ping it the whole time. Okay, so actually, this is important though. When you do Baron, don't do this. This is bad. See what you're doing right here? You're taking damage and you don't deal damage. Like, Soraka doesn't do damage to Baron. So what you should do is you should stand on the outskirts, walk over, heal, walk away. Don't take any AoE damage from the Baron, and don't try to do damage to it. It's not worth your HP. You don't do enough damage, and it's important that you have a lot of HP so you can keep them topped off, and in case a team fight happens, so that you don't die. And yeah, I would suggest, like, ping assist me a lot. Like, it's a lot. It's very valuable to do that. Because, like, if they came over here, right? Like, if they came over here, let's say all 4 of these people come over here, right? To contest it. Baron debuffs you to make you take more magic damage. That means that you're more susceptible to this, you know, Katarina diving you. Plus, you're just missing health. It's a really bad habit to have in general. So, like, I recommend it's a no-no. Don't do it. So, yeah, anytime you're doing Baron, walk over, heal someone, walk away. And just stand on the outskirts and, like, don't take any AoE damage. That way you can stay nice and healthy. Alright, so your Warwick goes in, he's silent, or he's on someone. Good silence. Awesome. I love it. Great, another kill. Awesome. Things are going well. Okay. Don't do this, though. This is very bad. Your redemption cooldown is a very huge tool. It's as valuable, if not more valuable, than your ultimate. So do not do this. This is a big no-no. You should just heal your teammate. Don't use your redemption unless a team fight's breaking out. Oh, you went to ward? Okay, alright. As long as it's understood, right? Alright, so at this point in time, you're just walking up, you're taking the inhibitor. Where'd you go? Oh, okay. So yeah, let's try to make better habits of dodging the echo spells. I mean, that's the second or third time I've watched you run into it. And then let's talk about positioning, right? And this is why I like having redemption ulti, because that's usually what you use first, and you want to stand as far away as possible, right? Like, you don't need to be DPSing this at all. You should be so far away. Like, you should be all the way back here. Also, another thing that I recommend, if you do have wards, is to ward these sides. That way you can see if anyone's flanking from the sides. Because there's no reason for this guy to get this off. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be close enough for this to happen. Alright, but you get 2 inhibitors. Right? You get 2 inhibitors. We're actually cruising through this VOD. I'm actually pretty happy about it. Alright. Just because you're really far ahead, let's not be careless though, right? Let's not walk up and, like, try to 1v1 the mid laner and shit. Because your health is valuable. You don't, like, even though you don't die or anything like that, it's just not worth you to walk over and do shit like that. Because then you just end up throwing a bunch of HP away. Because now, look, you're on the map with half-life. Less than half-life already. And you're going to be, like, trying to heal people and shit. And see, now because you were fucking around earlier, right? Like, you're getting engaged on, you're getting chased on. And that's just not good for you. Alright, so now at this point in time, you're walking over to the bottom side. You silence him, Q, excellent. You locked him away from doing anything. Awesome, you kill another person. Also, try to make a good habit of, like, you need to be spam clicking when, like, someone's really low on HP. That's usually the difference between, like, them living and dying a lot of times in my games. Also, another thing to note, too, though, don't forget you have a locket. So, right, like, he gets DPS, you kill this guy, awesome, right? So, Echo comes in, you should step back over immediately. He's already used all his spells, right? He's already walked over. So make sure that you walk over and you use your locket on him. And then you can start healing. That'll give you a lot more extra space in this regard. Yeah. But it's usually just not worth it in most cases, Lanny. It's just better. Basically, safety is like your primary concern. So you just want to always make sure that like you're maintaining your HP. All right, so I mean, you have three inhibitors down. You have 3 inhibitors down. You're literally killing the base. All right, sweet. Okay. So let's tackle this part, right? Because I'm pretty sure you just never use your locket. So that's definitely something that you need to work on for sure. So like in this situation, right? Attacks are going to your AD carry, going to that guy. You still have locket up. I can physically see it, right? Like this whole time, you need to be using your locket. And yeah, your health is a resource. I mean, it's a great reference point, right? Like you're at 30%. Now imagine if you're at 80% health when that all happens. You can usually keep everyone alive. Items during fights are my weakness. I recommend for locket, like redemptions like this, right? Like a team fight starts breaking out, you just drop it immediately when you know a fight's coming, and then you kind of go from there. When locket, you can use locket anytime and it's always functional. So just anytime your teammates are taking damage, it's totally fine. Alright, so at this point in time, you should just literally do nothing. Like this is not safe. Have you ever, like, you've watched some of my games where I have Baron and shit, and I'm just standing there. Like, I'm literally just standing here, and you just gotta wait. Like, at this point in time, you need to wait for all of your teammates to be close. That way you can end together. Because this is how, like, a silver or gold game, like, becomes egregious, basically. Is that patience is key, and if you don't exercise patience, then your teammates probably won't either. So just try to be grouped with your teammates just down mid. Like doing this right here, this is just all a bunch of waste of time. And you need to like see how like you're not in vicinity of anyone to help anyone basically. Alright, so we use ultimate, we use redemption, we trade 1 for 1. At this point in time, alright, yeah. So definitely things to work on for sure. The item activations for sure. Also, don't do shit like that. Don't randomly walk up in silence like the Thresh or something like that. That's just absolutely not safe. Because you know what would be really great right about now? Your locket, your silence, your redemption, your ulti. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of see, like, basically what I'm trying to point out is, like, it's the compounding interest that happens when, like, you kind of waste you waste things basically. So try to be a bit more selective on your scenarios for those kinds of things. I think if you're climbing with Bard and you're having fun, you should just keep doing that. I think Bard's in a pretty reasonable spot, but I personally don't like playing him over a lot of other champions. Yeah, because like at this point in time, right, like you're in a pretty rough spot. Oh, also another thing too is I'm pretty sure when you build Athenes and Mikhails, they like cancel each other out with their like weird ass passives. Can't say that for certain, but yeah, man, it's actually crazy how you almost have all your items done, but you're level 13. That's actually fucking insane how much fighting is happening. All right, so we've got Baron again. Okay, so let's talk about sweeping, right? So you walk into this, that was a waste. You're running a sweeper through everything, right? This is the defensive vision. Or this is the, well, technically you're trying to clear aggressive vision. So at this point in time, you have no vision deeper in the jungle. So it's probably a bad habit to be walking around like this when you don't have anyone in front of you or next to you in that sense. Right? Because, like, at this point in time, you're just kind of doing silly stuff by yourself, right? Well, it's not even, like, standing on a ward, right? Like, look where people are. You should just be getting mid-wave pushed in together and then doing stuff. Like, you're not like, a playmaking support. You just need to be playing slower in these games so that you just don't kill yourself, so you can carry, like, your teammates' dead corpses over, like, the finish line. Because, like, there's been a lot of circumstances where, like, you could have impacted things, but, like, you're basically playing, like, too impatiently, and it's causing you to die over and over again now. Like, at this point in time, like, you're 4-7, right? Like, that's a lot of deaths to have, especially considering you've been in such a winning position most of the game. So a lot of it It's just get to the mid wave, push it out, and then wait for people to group or wait people to show, or take responsibility yourself and get the push in for yourself. Like, that's pretty much what you need to do in this situation. Yeah. Because at this point in time, like, I feel like most of this game is, like, kind of silly, right? Like, this is just, like, all team fights where the same things kind of happen over and over again. Bit too crazy with your silences. Sometimes you're a little bit incorrect in terms of your items. So those are things to work on. But, I mean, my primary concerns for you is just you play more patiently through team fights and through, like, scenarios. Don't be wasteful with your summoners. And then focus more on, you know, where your vision is. And then also another thing is just like making sure that you're pushing out waves before you're doing anything. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it with this is pretty much it with this lesson. Like, I don't really want to go through the rest of it because I mean, I feel like it's just a redundancy afterwards. That's good. Like, there's a lot of things to take from this video, right? So I'm happy and hopeful that will be helpful for you. But yeah. And yeah, that Lanny won this last week, right? You won this last week. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be putting it on YouTube in a little bit too, so it should be accessible for everyone. But yeah, those are things to tackle from it. Do you have any questions or anything like that you wanted to talk about or anything like that? Have you talked about attributing your ADC shortcut to mouse buttons? I don't know what you mean by that. What ADC shortcuts? Okay, that's good. Yeah, hopefully that was pretty helpful. Any advice on matchups like global tips? I tend to overpick Janna, but I never know when to go for Zyra, Braum, Morg, Rakan, etc. Well, here's like some basic stuff, right? Rakan, only if your teammate's hovering or gets a hold of Xayah. Morgana, if the enemy team gets Xayah and you're scared of a Rakan, right? Or if they have like really hard other CCs like Leona, Thresh, Blitzcrank, Alistar, then you can pick Morgana, right? Morgana is definitely like a hard counterpick champion. Braum is just something if you have anything that auto attacks and you're concerned about like other melee champions, or if you have a really functional... Okay, so one way I pick Braum is if the enemy team picks a lot of melee champions, because I know they have to dive into me, which means my ultimate and my auto attacking to debuff people is really, really valuable. Zyra, I usually pick if I know my matchup, or if I'm feeling like I can just carry the game. Like if I feel like I'm playing well, like individually, and I just want to carry. Problems that I have with Zyra sometimes is if they pick a bunch of assassins, that can be an issue. So sometimes I'm apprehensive. It goes best with Varus, like by a lot. Like it's very noticeable, like when I pick it with Varus, how much stronger it is. But yeah, I mean you can't go really that wrong with Janna, if I'm being honest. To center camera, if you cast with indicator, you can hold your shielder ability and press the camera button. Oh, those? Oh, yeah, I mean, if you want to bind those to something else, that'd be probably pretty helpful for sure. But, yeah, that's... what I usually end up doing is if there's a clusterfuck of shit, I usually just click on the portraits. But, yeah, if you have a button for it, that's pretty good, too. Anyway, that's it for me. I mean, I streamed for 8 hours, so I feel pretty good about today. So I'm going to be done for right now. I'll be on tomorrow or something like that. I'm trying to work on fixing my sleep schedule so that I can actually have a real stream schedule. That's in the works. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, don't forget to follow and join the Discord so you can see whenever I'm going live. I post in there pretty often. Or if you want to ask me any questions, maybe if I'm off stream, you can post it in the questions. Make sure to tag me. And on top of that, you will also get to see all of my content. So, yeah. And there's all my socials. Later, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see if there's anyone I want to hand off the stream to. Nope. I don't really have anyone to hand it off to. I'll give you guys the diarist. Actually, I'm not even going to do that. That just seems weird. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Good night. Peace.